Somebody said, somebody said if you don't like playing with LeBron, you wouldn't like playing with Kobe. Bro, you guys got to stop these narratives, man. It's not that I didn't like playing with Bron, you guys. And you know I don't want to go into detail about it. Some of y'all comments just be so asinine. Bro, you know, like when I was in Cleveland and I was a young player, I had no idea Bron was going to come back.
Kyrie Irving just cracked open the calm, and the entire basketball world is spinning out instantly. When he said, "When I'm done playing, you guys will hear the real story. Trust me." He wasn't tossing out some random comment. He was signaling something serious. This wasn't shade. This was a warning that a whole new version of history might be coming. Remember, this is the same guy who hit the shot that kept LeBron's legacy glowing, and now he's hinting he might rewrite the entire story behind that moment. And let's be real, this wasn't an accident or some slip.
The reason why I say I would have loved to play with Kobe, because I would have loved to have started my career with, I love Cleveland, don't get me wrong. I'm appreciative of all the things that they've done for me, but at the same time, I would have loved to choose the franchise I wanted to go to. You know what I'm saying? I would have loved to develop next to some of my favorite players and some of my favorite people.
Kyrie said it live on stream, staring straight into the camera like he was ready to shake the NBA timeline in real time. He basically told everyone that the truth fans think they know about playing with LeBron is polished, filtered, and controlled from the inside, and that the real story sits behind private talks, off-camera moves, and quiet power dynamics. This is the exact kind of tension that turns into documentaries a decade later, and you could feel it hit instantly. LeBron supporters jumped into his comments right away, pushing back, questioning him, trying to silence the moment before it exploded any further. They looked like they were scrambling to protect the superstar image the second he spoke. But Kyrie? He didn't flinch for a second. He looked calm, firm, and ready to finally unload the truth he's been carrying for years.
You guys make it about one player, it is kind of just weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just one player that you have to promote. Like, we had like solid players on our team. When you're playing with somebody like Bron or somebody that you guys like to compare him to, it's a different animal. It's a different journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're automatically expected to be at the top of the charts, the top of the league. You know, every time you play with Bron, it's going to be a lot of media attention. It's going to be a lot of back and forth of narratives. It's going to be about a lot of spun narratives. It's going to be a lot of politics. It's going to be a lot of shit that a lot of people don't see in front of the camera. And for me, I was just a young person trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's not that I dislike playing with Bron at any time.
Make sure you hit subscribe, because what's coming next could shake one of the biggest modern-era NBA partnerships straight to the center. The deeper you look into Kyrie's story, the more complicated this whole connection starts to feel. Now let's get into the part nobody ever wants to say out loud. Kyrie admitting he wanted to choose his own franchise on draft night. That's wild, because it means the #1 pick in 2011 never truly wanted Cleveland from the start. He wanted to grow around players he admired, build chemistry with hoopers he felt connected to, not get dropped onto a rebuilding squad still trying to recover from LeBron leaving the first time. When he said, "The reason why I say I would've," you could feel what he meant. He was trying to choose a situation that actually matched his style. But here's where the real twist lands hard. Kyrie said those early losing seasons forced him into habits he didn't want at all, like playing hero ball just to keep the team functioning and trying to score nonstop because the roster couldn't compete. He explained that he had just started cleaning all that up, finally learning how to control the floor the right way and stepping into what a real team leader is supposed to be. And right when he was ready to rise, LeBron returned. Boom, everything flipped. His storyline, his growth, his whole development path, all shifted in one moment, and that single move set the foundation for all the tension that came afterward.
Only wanted to see him be an MVP of our league. I only cared about his success, and it just didn't align. Yeah. It just didn't align, and we was able to win a championship. Yeah. That's the craziest thing. We were still able to win a championship, and we could never align.
Now imagine this timing for a second. LeBron comes back to Cleveland in 2014. The exact moment Kyrie is entering year 4. The exact year when most young guards normally take that giant leap into real superstardom. Instead of taking over the franchise like he was supposed to, Kyrie suddenly gets pushed into a supporting role on a team that instantly becomes LeBron's full production. That shift hits completely different when you're finally finding your rhythm. Kyrie even dropped a line most people ignored. When you're playing with somebody like LeBron, it's a different animal. It's a different journey. That wasn't praise. That was a quiet alert. Because playing on LeBron's team doesn't just raise expectations, it bends them. You're expected to be elite, not because you built your own lane, but because you're sitting next to the biggest spotlight in the league. And that's exactly where things start getting complicated, because LeBron didn't come back to Cleveland just to finish a feel-good hometown story. He needed Kyrie's skill set to rebuild his image after Miami. And the issue is, Kyrie's growth became collateral damage in the process. And most fans had no idea how deep this story might run.
You know, I'm playing like so fucking happy and so proud and to watch him and continue his growth and whatever the case may be. And at the same time, I'm so fucking mad at the same time that I am not his running mate anymore.
Make sure you subscribe, because from here, the story gets even more intense. Now let's bring up the Pat Riley factor, the detail that flips the whole timeline on its head. Kyrie talked about the bad habits he picked up during those early Cleveland seasons, but then he dropped a hint that completely changes how people look at LeBron. He brought up the difference between Miami LeBron and Cleveland LeBron, and that comparison hits hard. Think back to LeBron's first Cleveland run, dancing on the sidelines, super loose, carefree energy everywhere. Wild reactions, shaky composure, emotional slip-ups, all of that used to spill out during LeBron's early years. He was talented, no question, but he didn't have that calm, steady presence you expect from a true leader yet. Then he landed in Miami, and everything flipped instantly. Pat Riley's structure reshaped him from the inside out. Discipline, accountability, consistency, top-level preparation, the whole package. LeBron learned how to focus, how to control the moment, how to handle pressure without losing his cool. That Miami version of him was the most controlled and polished we ever saw. Under that system, he showed up like a professional every single night. No chaos, no emotional slips, just locked-in performance. Back in Miami, LeBron's leadership felt solid, earned, and respected. But Kyrie just pulled the curtain back on something fans were not expecting at all. Because when LeBron returned to Cleveland, he didn't only bring Riley's discipline and focus with him. He brought the politics too. The quiet control, the behind-the-scenes influence, the narrative steering that regular fans never pick up on. Kyrie basically said that playing with LeBron meant dealing with stories getting twisted, private situations being handled off camera, and moments that never reach the public eye. That's a heavy statement, because it means LeBron didn't just learn professionalism in Miami. He learned how to manage the entire narrative around his career. And when he stepped back into Cleveland, he used that same strategy, not just with the media, but even with his own teammates. Pat Riley rebuilt LeBron's structure, but Kyrie is basically telling everyone that LeBron took those lessons and turned them into power, moving like way more than just a player. He became a full brand, controlling every angle like a seasoned pro. And what happened next shows exactly how sharp that whole system could feel. Let's bring up a moment the world somehow pushed to the side. June 19, 2016, Game 7 of the Finals. Kyrie, just 24 years old, steps back and drops that legendary three with 53 seconds left. One of the biggest shots in basketball history, snapping the Cleveland curse right in front of everyone. That was one of the coldest clutch moments this sport has ever witnessed. Kyrie put it perfectly when he said, "Able to win a championship and we could never align," showing just how complicated things really were behind the scenes. But here's the part Kyrie revealed that had fans fired up. He hits the career-defining shot, saves the entire season, shifts the whole legacy debate forever. Then he turns on the TV and all he hears is "blocked by James" on loop. No replay of Irving for three, no hype for the dagger. Just the block over and over, like Kyrie's shot was some tiny detail in the background. That kind of erasure sticks with a player, especially when you know what you did to seal the moment. And then came the part that hit Kyrie like a slap of reality. LeBron going on TV saying, "That one right there made me the greatest player of all time." Like what? Your teammate drills the championship-winning shot, the one that actually decides the game, and instead of celebrating the squad or giving credit to the guy who closed it out, the headline becomes a personal legacy boost. That's the type of moment that changes how a player sees everything moving forward. That's unbelievable. Kyrie was putting up 27 a night during that run. He was the clear second-best player on the court the entire finals, and he delivered the exact moment Cleveland fans had been wishing for their whole lives. But somehow the whole storyline got flipped into LeBron's redemption arc, LeBron's homecoming, LeBron's destiny. Kyrie basically got edited out of his own accomplishment, and this is where you finally understand what he meant about fake narratives and quiet politics. This didn't feel like normal media bias. It felt organized, almost like a system working exactly how it was designed. The spotlight snapped right back onto LeBron, and Kyrie turned into a background piece in a story he helped create from start to finish. But here's the coldest part. Right after the moment Kyrie saved LeBron's career, things behind the scenes got even more harsh. He went from hero to trade talk in a flash. Jump to the 2017 finals. Kyrie is dropping 29 a game, carrying an unbelievable load while Kevin Durant is out there controlling every matchup. And the conversations around the league? They were wild. People were saying KD handled LeBron so easily it looked effortless. Not my words, that's literally how people in the community described it. KD looked in full command of those finals from beginning to end. And even with LeBron getting outplayed, even with Kyrie being the only Cavalier matching Durant shot for shot, pushing the pace, keeping the team alive, somehow all the blame for the loss still shifted away from LeBron. Every ounce of frustration, every storyline, every headline landed on everyone except him. And that pressure pushed Kyrie right into the center of a storm he didn't create. Blame landed everywhere except on LeBron, and Kyrie ended up taking hits he never earned. The whole narrative machine wrapped LeBron in full protection like he had invisible armor on him. And not even a month after the finals, the wildest twist of Kyrie's career dropped. The same guy who hit the shot that kept LeBron's legacy steady suddenly found himself sitting in trade rumors. This is where Kyrie's talk about behind-the-scenes politics starts sounding way too real. People in LeBron's circle were already whispering about moving on from Kyrie, acting like he was the problem, like the championship they won didn't have his impact written all over it. Fans jumped in too, acting like front office experts, cooking up fake trade packages, talking reckless about who Cleveland could get for Kyrie, as if he wasn't an all-star guard who played a massive role in bringing the city its first title ever. The disrespect was unreal on every level. Kyrie finally reached his breaking point and asked out, and that's when the real smear campaign switched on. Suddenly people were calling him jealous of LeBron, saying he wasn't built to lead, questioning his basketball IQ, even trying to paint him as someone who couldn't win unless LeBron was holding his hand. But here's the truth people never want to admit. Kyrie became the only star in that era who actually took control of his own path. He didn't let the politics push him around. He didn't stay silent, and he didn't play a background role in somebody else's storyline anymore. He stepped out and made his own move, no hesitation. While playing next to LeBron, every other big name either joined him on his terms or quietly got pushed out when their part in the story was over. Think about it. Love, Bosh, Wade in the later years. None of them stepped away because they truly wanted to. Kyrie was the first one to say, "I'm gone," and actually follow through with it. And LeBron's fan base never forgave him because his exit exposed something nobody wanted to admit about the LeBron system. It's built so that everyone around him is replaceable as long as the king stays protected. Kyrie leaving shattered that whole illusion, and what came after showed just how far that machine could reach when someone refuses to play along. The character takedown was harsh. What LeBron's supporters did to Kyrie after he left Cleveland could legit be studied in a psychology class. This wasn't normal fan trash talk. It felt coordinated across every platform. They went after every angle they could touch. His leadership in Boston when the young guys didn't connect with him. His injuries, acting like he chose to sit out on purpose. Even his personality, calling him weird or difficult just to drag him down. It was non-stop. The moment Kyrie walked away, people stopped talking about basketball and started trying to erase everything he actually accomplished. They twisted every normal basketball challenge into proof that Kyrie couldn't shine without LeBron. Every missed game, every rough patch, every team issue suddenly became some grand confirmation of their made-up narrative. It was like they needed him to fail just to protect their storyline. And Kyrie felt every bit of that pressure, even when none of it lined up with reality. but everything reached its peak during the pandemic. That's when the reactions around Kyrie went completely off the rails. People came after him with an anger that didn't even feel connected to basketball anymore. He chose not to take the COVID vaccine, and instantly he became one of the most targeted players in the entire league. People were calling him selfish, irresponsible, throwing every label they could come up with. Some were even saying he shouldn't be allowed to play at all. It got wild fast. And here's the craziest part. A lot of that outrage wasn't even about the situation itself. It was people acting like Kyrie's personal decision was some direct hit on their favorite star's legacy or some kind of threat to the story they wanted to protect. That level of obsession is unbelievable. But as time passed, the whole situation grew way more complex than the loudest critics ever admitted. The public health conversation shifted, the league's policies changed, and suddenly all that extreme outrage looked exaggerated, way louder than it needed to be. And Kyrie's take on the bubble, calling it something players would eventually forget, ended up being pretty accurate, because barely anyone brings that era up now, unless it's for a trivia moment. But here's the part that really exposes the system Kyrie was talking about. While every corner of the internet was trying to tear him down, where was LeBron? Where was that brotherhood everyone loves to romanticize? There was no defending Kyrie, no public support, nothing at all. Just complete silence while his fan army handled all the attacking on their own. Kyrie stood there alone in the spotlight while the noise got louder and louder. And that silence from the top spoke louder than anything anyone said online. That right there is the exact behind-the-scenes politics Kyrie was talking about. LeBron never has to step in or say a single word. His fan base runs the whole play for him while he stays far away from the noise. But look at Kyrie now. The comeback chapter of his career is actually the strongest one he's ever written. He's a champion in Dallas, a respected veteran, and playing some of the most efficient basketball of his entire life next to Luka. And more than anything, you can feel he's finally found real peace. Not the polished media version, but the true, I know who I am now kind of energy. And here's the wildest sign of how far he's come. Luka ended up getting traded before Kyrie did. Let that sit with you for a second. The same guy critics claimed was impossible to build around. Too unpredictable, too out there to trust as a franchise cornerstone, outlasted a generational talent in Dallas because of how steady, locked in, and reliable he became. Behind the scenes, Kyrie turned himself into one of the most trusted vets in the entire locker room. And that says everything about his growth. Even after Luka got moved to the Lakers, Kyrie didn't shake for a second. His confidence stayed solid, his focus stayed sharp, and you could tell he finally reached a place where outside opinions don't control him anymore. But here's the part that has LeBron supporters getting nervous. Kyrie wasn't finished talking on that live stream. He dropped a promise with a tone that made everyone sit up. When I'm done playing, you guys will hear the real story, trust me. And he said it like someone who's been holding in the truth for years. Someone finally ready to unload everything he's kept quiet while the world built its own story around him? This isn't some casual rant at all. This is a player who lived through real pressure, real spin, and storylines that were built around him without his voice in the room. Kyrie watched the media reshape the entire Cleveland era into something that barely even mentioned him. He watched people question his character for leaving, and he sat through years of fans twisting every situation into another LeBron highlight. Now he's saying he'll talk when he's finally free from contracts, locker room expectations, and league noise. That's not a tease, that's a warning with weight behind it. And then Kyrie dropped another line that cut deep. No one could ever live in the shoes. No one could ever have anything legitimate to say about what they would have done, in my position. That wasn't frustration talking. That was someone who has seen things the public never hears. Someone who knows details that could flip the whole timeline upside down. And the way he said it, with that edge, that quiet, I'm not scared anymore energy. You can tell he's not planning to keep silent for much longer. Now the real question isn't if Kyrie will talk. It's whether LeBron's legacy can survive once he finally lays everything out. Because Kyrie's viral comments weren't just him venting about his time next to LeBron. They sounded like the opening move of a much bigger story coming down the line. For years, the system around LeBron has moved perfectly. Smooth, clean, controlled. It shaped the headlines, guided the narratives, pushed the responsibility onto teammates whenever things went bad, and let hardcore fans swarm anyone who challenged the storyline. It was polished, precise, and powerful, a machine that rarely got exposed. But Kyrie's words? They cracked the first opening in that machine, and what comes next might be the moment everyone's been waiting on. But Kyrie's promise cracked that whole shield, and once he starts talking, the entire basketball world is going to be tuned in. Kyrie didn't need a documentary or a PR rollout to shake the system. All he had to do was finally speak on his own experience. The same guy who hit the shot that carried Cleveland to glory is now hinting he might break open the storyline that protected LeBron for years. And based on everything we've seen, the coordinated anger, the non-stop attempts to drag him, the way people tried to erase his role, it's clear LeBron's circle understands exactly how dangerous Kyrie's full truth could be. The countdown has officially started now. Kyrie said he'll open up once he retires, and that's only a few years away. And when he finally lays everything out, the moments that never reached the cameras, the quiet politics, the tension, the private conversations nobody else heard, LeBron's polished legacy might not be ready for what comes out. The truth hits way harder when it comes from the person who lived through the whole story. If this breakdown opened your eyes to what really went down between two of the most talked about teammates in NBA history, make sure you hit that subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment, and share this video. More deep dives are coming. And trust me, the realest stories in basketball always come from the players who survived the chaos. See you on the next video.